The record, spell your first and last name.
Karen Crumbley, Karencrumbley.
All right, I'm going to ask you to keep your voice up.
Okay.
All right, take a deep breath.
Okay.
Go ahead and sing it.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Ms. Crumbley. Can I call you Karen?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Karen, I am going to, again, ask that you keep your voice up. You are a little soft-spoken, so I want to make sure that the jury in the courtroom can hear you, okay?
Okay.
I just have a few questions. How are you feeling today?
Good.
Are you nervous?
Well, yes, a little. I'm all right.
I'm going to take you back. Well, let me start with this. Do you know James Crumbley?
Of course, yes.
How do you know him?
He is my brother.
Do you know his son?
Yes, I do.
I am going to ask that you not say his son's name. We do have some direction from the court not to use his son's name in court.
Okay.
And what is his son's relationship to you?
He is my nephew.
We're going to be fairly specific. Where do you live?
I live in Wielaka, Florida.
Tell the court a little bit about yourself.
I was raised in Jacksonville, Florida. I went and graduated high school, and then I got my medical assistant degree and did a few times in New Hampshire at Dartmouth-Hitchcock Hospital, and then came back to Florida. And I was in a car accident where I lost my right leg, and now I stay in a town that is peaceful, and I have 4 children and 2 grandchildren.
How old are your kids?
17, 18, 23, and 25.
I'm going to take you back to 2021. Where are you living in 2021?
In Wielaka, Florida.
Specifically, I'm going to ask you about April of 2021. Do you recall what was going on in April of 2021?
My mom was in the hospital. My mom passed away April 6th of 2021.
Do you recall if you saw James or his son in April of 2021?
Yes, I did. My brother, James, was there in the hospital with us when my mom passed. And then my nephew came down, I believe, the day after and stayed for the while we had those services. And then we had like a memorial thing, like get together with everybody, cookout and stuff. And then we had the services, the funeral services and things like that.
You said your mom passed away on April 6th of 2021?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember exactly that your nephew came down on the 7th, or are you not sure of the date? And if you don't know, it's okay.
I know that they left when they found out that my mom had passed. I believe my nephew and his mother.
Let me stop you for a second. Who's they?
My nephew and his mother drove down to Florida from Michigan when they'd find out, and believe they got there maybe around on the 7th that they arrived.
Okay. So you remember that you saw your nephew maybe the 7th. It might have been the next day, or maybe you're not sure.
Right, yes.
But it was shortly after the 6th.
Yes, it was very shortly.
While your brother and his son were in Florida, did you spend time with them?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Obviously, it was a difficult time with your mom passing away.
Yes.
Do you recall seeing anything concerning about your nephew?
No.
Do you recall him saying anything concerning to you?
No.
And if I ask you about if you recall if anyone...
Will you keep your voice up? Just
Yes.
I want the jury to be able to hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Judge. When I ask you if you recall hearing anything or anyone saying anything, I don't necessarily want to say what they said.
Okay.
That's not allowed. But just if you recall hearing anything.
No.
Do you recall having conversations with your brother where he expressed anything concerning to you about his son?
No.
Do you recall your brother expressing any conversations he'd had with his son that were concerning to you?
No.
Do you recall how long they were there?
I think I'm not honestly too sure. 1.5 weeks, maybe a week.
Okay.
For sure, for a week.
So it was more than a couple of days.
Of course, yes.
And you saw them more than one time.
Yes.
And when I say them, I mean both your brother James and his son.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recall seeing James and or your nephew any other time in 2021?
Yes, I went to Michigan with my father and my stepmother to visit. It was actually he knew my father was going, but I was a surprise to my brother. And we went to Michigan. We stayed at their house for about a week. About 3 or 4 days, maybe.
When you say you stayed at their house, whose house did you stay at?
My brother James's house.
And was his son there?
Yes.
And you stayed there for a few days?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you spend time with James and your nephew in those few days?
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm going to ask you the same thing. Do you recall seeing anything concerning?
No.
Do you recall your nephew saying anything concerning to you?
No.
Do you recall your brother talking to you about concerning conversations he had with his son?
Judge, I just have to object to that question. Honestly, I should object to the last question regarding April as well. She can testify as to what she observed and but not what James said or not said.
Yeah, correct, yes.
From your observations, did you see anything concerning in June of 2021?
Absolutely not.
And did you speak with your brother after June of 2021?
Yes.
Did you speak with your nephew after June of 2021?
Not directly, no. I heard him in the background, tell him I said hi, he said hi, things like that, but not directly, no.
So based on those interactions, although they weren't direct, they were kind of in the background,
Yes.
did you observe anything concerning with your nephew between June of 21 and, we'll say, November 30th of 2021?
No.
If there had been anything concerning that you had observed, what would you have done?
I would have addressed it, and if I would have known anything, I would have talked to him, I would have took him home with me if there was any kind of inclination that anything was wrong.
Would you have made your brother aware of it?
Of course.
Did you ever make your brother aware of anything that you were concerned about?
No, because there was nothing I was concerned about.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Ross?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name's Mark. I'm going to ask you some questions. If anything I ask is confusing or sometimes I kind of go on a little bit, just let me know and I can rephrase the question.
Okay.
Now, James Crumbley is your brother, obviously.
Correct.
And we refer to him as a shooter. He's your nephew.
Yes.
Okay. The last time you actually saw the shooter was June of 2021? Your nephew?
Do you mean in person?
In person, yeah. The last time you saw him?
I think, Your Honor,
Oh,
but she's hesitating. I think I know what she's hesitating about. Do you want to discuss it at the bench?
can we approach? Yes. I think I know what it is, too.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Mr. Case.
Thank you. Before the shooting on November the 30th, the last time you saw your nephew was in June of 2021?
Correct.
Okay. And the last time you saw him before that was in April of 2021?
Correct.
Okay. And you, from the time of actually, you may not know this, but everybody's phones in this case were seized and analyzed. Did you know that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, including your brothers as well as your nephews?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you're not here to tell us that you had a particularly close relationship with your brother, is that right?
We had a close relationship, but we lived in 2 different states, so it was mainly, it wasn't like close.
Well, you wouldn't talk very often.
At least maybe once a month.
Well, according to the phone records on your brother's phone, it was far less frequent than that. Does that sound right to you? And I'm not trying to trip you up.
No. We talked on social media as well.
Right. So there's call logs, actual device to device.
Right.
Then there's Facebook calls as well.
Correct.
And I show 2 Facebook calls.
Okay.
And then there's instant messaging, and there's 22 instant messages between you and your brother.
Okay.
And that's the entire year of 2021.
Okay.
And then there's some group Facebook messages
Right.
with other members of the family.
Okay.
Now, your nephew never wrote you a note that said, "Help me."
No,
did he?
sir.
And he never drew a picture next to that note with a gun, did he?
No.
Okay. And that would be concerning to you?
Yes.
Okay.
It would
And is
cause-
that what you meant to say, or is that what you meant when you said, what would you have done if you saw something of a concerning nature?
I would have brought it up, yes.
Yes, that would be something significant to you as a mother.
To address, yes, of course.
I just want to, I think it might gloss over, I want to clarify. On the phone log, there's only 3 actual phone calls between you and your brother in 2021.
Okay.
Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, I
Okay.
guess.
Now, you were interviewed in November of 2023 by an investigator when your name was put on the defense witness list. Do you remember that interview?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you were asked if you knew you were on the witness list, and you said that you didn't know at that point.
Right.
Okay. And then you said you would have nothing to testify on their behalf because you had no knowledge of the incident until after it happened.
Correct. I have no knowledge of the incident.
Okay. And then you said you didn't know that a gun was bought for your nephew prior to the incident.
I did not know about that weapon, no.
And during that interview, you were asked about guns in the family home back when everybody lived in Florida. And you said, well, some firearms is something that wouldn't be out of the ordinary for someone to own back in Florida when you grew up.
Right, no.
Do you recall that?
Yes, I do
Okay.
recall that.
But then you said, having guns in the house wouldn't be out of the ordinary, but getting one for your kid would be. At 21 minutes into the interview,
Getting one as in,
giving a gun as a
no,
gift for
not
your
giving, but to use at a shooting range or whatnot.
Well, I'm just
I would not
reading
see a problem.
your words, and again, I'm not
Okay.
trying to trip you up.
Yeah, no,
You
okay.
said getting a gun for your kid, that would be out of the ordinary.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Redirect?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. The prosecutor asked you about guns in the family home. And you were aware, or let me ask you, were you aware in April or June of 2021 if there were firearms in James Crumbley's family home?
Yes.
And what do you know about those firearms, if anything?
I know that there was a Derringer because I saw and held it myself when I was there in June.
And how did you go about seeing and holding it?
He took it out of his room. I had brought it
Let
up.
me stop you. Who's
Okay,
he?
sorry. My brother,
Okay.
James, took it out of his room to show, because it was, I guess it's maybe like an antique kind of ish gun. I'm not sure. I don't know really too much about them. But, and I wanted to see it, and I hold it, and it was very heavy. And then afterwards, he put it back in its case and brought it back into his bedroom.
Okay. You said you're not very familiar with guns, right?
Correct.
The prosecutor asked you about a statement that you made about getting a gun for your kid would be, I don't remember the word he used, odd or something along those lines. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What did you mean by that? It sounded like you were trying to explain that to the prosecutor, and I don't know if we heard it.
I mean, if you're getting a gun specifically for your child to use at his leisure, that would be wrong. But with adult supervision, and I don't see any problem with it.
I have no further questions. Ian.
Just real quick, when you were there in June, here in Michigan in June, I think, right?
Yes.
Okay. And James went and showed you the .22 caliber Derringer, the small gun.
Yes?
Okay. You said he went and where he kept it in his room.
Yes, sir.
And the whole family was there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have nothing else. Thank you, Judge.
All right, you can step down in your excuse.